Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. It's Wendy here from Little Nest Crafts. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful sunny Saturday morning here in South Wales. I'm hoping that you're having as nice a day where you are. And this video is for Suzanne over at Non-Stop Paper Crafts, who's introduced a beautiful new kit called Warm Winter Wishes. And this was introduced on the 7th of November and it's currently discounted at 20% off. And it's available over at Suzanne's Ko-fi shop and on her Etsy store. If you want to see the full flip through of the kit, please go over to Suzanne's YouTube page, Non-Stop Paper Crafts, and there you will see every page in beautiful detail of this kit. Now, this video is my take 2, well, take 6 really, because yesterday evening I spent the day videoing, and for some reason my phone kept switching off. I don't know whether it was overheating or whether there was a glitch in the system or too many files, but every couple of minute and a half it just kept switching off. So I was getting very frustrated with it, and I tried to edit it for a few hours this morning to see whether I could piece it together and make some sort of sense. And in the end I thought, oh, just scrap the whole thing and start again. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just park this over to one side, and as I say, please go over to Suzanne's shop and have a look at this beautiful kit if you are looking for a nice wintry, warm, cozy kind of feel Christmas kit. You won't be disappointed if you have a look at that. So this is what we're going to produce today, and this is what I produced yesterday in piecemeal, and it's a little flip, sort of a bifold tag, but it's got this center pocket flip here, which hides this little sort of secret pocket there, and it's got a little card in there with a bit of ephemera. I've backed the cards with a page from Suzanne's. I thought that was really pretty, and it goes lovely with this kit here. And there's a few pieces of ephemera that aren't with the kit. These have come out of my stash, but everything else you see, that's out of my stash. And then in this little pocket here, we've got a little envelope, and inside there is a little card. That's a background piece from the kit that I've shrunk down to make that little card. So that fits in your center pocket like so. And then you go over to the back and you've got another pocket on the back with this lovely tall envelope here. And this is another piece from the kit that I've manipulated. This was a tag in the kit. So we're going to see how we're going to put this together. So I'll just park that to one side and bring in the kits. And that's not part of the kit. So here you can see what I've done is I've taken background pages and things from the kit, and I've just made them a bit elongated so that they're tag size, and I've made them smaller so that they fit my pocket. And yeah, and then as I say, I've backed it with this beautiful, I love that, it's lovely, I love the colour of it and everything. So what I'm going to do is go away now, fussy cut these out. This wasn't part of the kit, this is in my digital files in my computer, and I thought I quite like to have a nutcracker, and same with these, that's another nutcracker, and these presents are from my digital files. So all I've done is laid them out and altered them a little bit so I can make pockets, and yeah, you'll see how they're going to be put together. So I'm going to put you on hold while I go away and cut out all these, and I'll be right back. Right, everybody, that's everything cut out now and ready, and I've inked everything. So we'll get to do some of the construction now. So I thought what we would do first is just fold these And as I said, these are 2 pages of background pages, and I've just shrunk them down. And I'm going to make that into, you could make it into a little notebook if you wanted to put some pages in. But I'm trying to keep these tags fairly flat so that I can use them as happy mail. And this tag, I've cut it down in my prototype so that it fits in the pocket, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'll just put that to one side. But prior to doing that, I'm just going to round off them 2 corners there, although this corner might change if I do reduce the size of this little booklet. And then here we're going to make the long slim pocket. So I'm going to get my ruler. It says she. It's here tucked on my desk somewhere. There it is. And I'm just going to use this for doing my folds. So I like to score it along the edge, pick up a corner if I can, and then just run my finger along the back, and then that way it just makes it easier. And then I'll use my ruler instead of my bone folder just to crease that. And then we'll do this corner here as well. Not corner, this flap. There we go. Fold it over the back. And then we're just going to get the glue. And that's nearly empty, so we'll get this one. Oops, oh my gosh. When you put your pins in and they go rusty, it doesn't often make the glue discoloured. So there we go, just score that down. I did mean to do that with my ruler, but and then we'll put some glue along this side as well. Bit more under there. And that's our tall, slim pocket. So that's easily done. And then we're going to make a card to go inside it. And how I did that, I actually took this piece from the tag. So I'm just going to cut round there. And let me just check with my one from the prototype, and we'll see. Oh, I did leave a little bit of a border, so I need to come down there a little bit closer, round off my corners there. We'll come a little bit closer on the bottom here too. And I'm just wondering if that's straight. I think it's fairly straight. But I'm going to use my guillotine just to make sure. Because it's always difficult when you're... Let's have a look. Yeah, it wasn't perfectly straight. There we go. We'll just park that there for a minute, because I'll need it again, no doubt. So we'll round those corners again. And then I'm going to take off that piece there. Use the other one as a template, just to judge where we're going. Probably a little bit wider than that one. Pop that one back in there, so we know that it's tucked away. And same again, we'll round our corners, top and bottom. There we go. Just get rid of my scraps. And now we'll check out our tag. Lovely. Now then, what I haven't done is I wanted to put a little notch in the pocket. So I'll just see if I can slide this in. I did mean to do it first, but not to worry, as long as it fits. And we'll just ink there, and we need a tiny drop of glue in there. Super. And then what I did, I decorated the front of my little pocket with some bits and bobs from my stash. So I'll pop that in there. Oh, it hasn't glued at the bottom. Let's have a look. There we go. Hopefully that's glued down now. There we go. Get my cloth. Okay. So I'm just going to slide my ruler in to make sure that we're still not glued down. Not giving it long enough. And we'll pop that in our scrap box. Turn this over and we'll just have a look and see what we've got that I could tuck in the corner. And there we go, there's a nice Christmas bell there. And we've got our little soldier here, which I thought we'd pop there. And then we've got some a little bit of tulle and a sentiment. So I'm just going to get my tulle. I've cut out a sentiment from the kit, and I'm going to get a bit of this tulle here, which is it's a bit like snowy because it's got like little puffy snowballs in it, and we'll use a piece of that to go behind. Pop that over there and we'll glue that down there. And we've got our little soldier, or maybe do that. There we go. Just to give it a bit of an extra dimension. So we'll get our Fab-A-Tac and glue that down here. There we go. Our little soldier. I mean, you can use foam pads if you want behind that to give him, to lift him up a little bit, to make him look a bit more dimensional. And then we'll pop this sentiment down here, perhaps near his feet. There we go. Oh, I'm not sure about that. I quite like it off centre. Yeah, we'll pop that down there. And then I'm not sure about that bauble. Let's have a look what we've got. We've got something a bit smaller maybe. No, no. Yeah, it'll give it a bit of added something or other. There we go. Just make sure it's not hanging off the end of your tab, because that's going to be folded down and closed. There we go. And just wipe that glue. And same here. Don't like it when you can see shiny glue poking out. You can't help it with the tool because you've got to stick the tool down. So there's our little pocket. Just needs a bit of ink on the top. So nice and quick, that one. Just ink around the edges. And inside it's got our card and writing space. So that's them two. We'll pop those there. And did I pop that in? No, I didn't pop it in because it hadn't quite dried. So that fits in there nicely. And there we go. So that's popped in there. In fact, I'll move those over to the other side so that I'm not interfering with our video. Just tidy up my desk a little bit. Right, so now then, this is the main portion of my tag. So I'm going to do the same again, just fold these up there and there. Okay, and then we'll also put a fold down there so it's nice and straight. And fold that in, and we'll fold that in as well. And we'll just give it a burnish. And a bit of a burnish there. So I'm going to pop that to one side for a minute. And then I'm going to take my tag, and that's what I'm going to be using for the front of this tag, so that it is like this. And then I'm going to, what did I do with my poinsettia? I should have a nice big piece. There we go. So I'm going to pop this on the front there, and it just gives it some extra dimension. So we'll do that so that it can be drying. So I'm just going to pop in the middle because I don't want the petals to be glued down. And then just turn it so that it's pleasing to the eye. I don't want it laid on top of those, but I want it sort of staggered in between, and that looks quite nice like that. So that's the front there. And then we're going to turn over and get our lovely lady, wherever she may be, here. And I'm going to get that ready to glue on the back. But before I do that, I want to join my two tags together. So I'm going to pop her to one side, and this is the tag that's going to go on the back. Now you could have that on the front if you wish, and have this one on the back. That's entirely up to you. But I'm going to stick with what I've done, and I'm going to, I mean, they're both beautiful. Look at that. I mean, that is absolutely stunning. So now I'm going to make sure that these two are together. So what I've done is I've made myself some little hinges, and I've put them down somewhere. There's one. And all it is a scrap of paper that I've cut into a long strip and folded in half, and I've made it nice and fine because I don't want too much showing on this back sheet here. So I'm going to glue along my hinge, and I'm using Fab-O-Tac because it's nice and quick gliding, and for the first, say, minute you can slide it a bit so that you get it in the right spot. So I'm just going to rub it down, and then I'm going to get my eye into gear, fold that in half, just bend it over, just to make sure that the crease of this hinge is lying nicely along the edge of that tag. And then I'm just going to give it a good press down and get rid of any oozage from out the side of the tag. And then it's a matter of repeating the process along this bit. So we'll put some glue down there, and then we're going to pop it, making sure that the bottom edges of my tag are in line, and then rub that down. Now I can alter this a little bit because, as you can see, this tag finishes a little bit lower, but I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm going to fold that over, make sure I've got a nice crisp crease, wipe any excess glue off, and then, as you can see, the tags don't quite match 100%, but we can rectify that with our scissors. So I'm just going to trim along there, and the same at the back, trim along the back, just making that both sides of the tags are relatively uniform. Oops, don't lose my glue top. And then, because we've cut the edges, I'm just going to give them a bit of an ink, not too much. There we go. So that's our tag constructed, bifold tag. And then what we want to do now is pop this lady onto here. Now what I did on my previous one, I actually made a mistake, because what I did, I actually did the hole and, you know, put my lace in and everything, and then I decided I was going to stick that on the back. So I thought, oh crikey, I got to poke a hole. So, and I also I made a mistake because I wanted to make it a pocket. And what I did, when I was gluing, I went and glued the wrong edge. I went and glued that edge and those two edges. And when I come to fold it down like that, I'd glued the entrance that I was going to leave open. So I'm going to make sure that I do the right thing this time. So I want to glue down here. So I'm going to put my thumb there, which is what I normally do, but I wasn't concentrating. It was quite late last night. So I'm going to make this into a pocket. So I'm going to glue down the top edge there, glue down this edge here. So this tag will be slightly different. And I'm going to glue down that edge there, and then we're going to pop that down here. And then if I fold it over, it'll push this tag over slightly, because you don't want it to interfere with the crease. So there we go. And then we're going to trim off the edges that stick out there again. And then we'll get rid of those little bits. Tidy up as we go along. So now we've got a nice little pocket, a little hidden pocket in there. But if you don't want it to be hidden, we can do the same as we did before. Make a little divot into there. So I might do that, but I'm going to use a bigger, or shall I just use this one, seeing as it's there? But I'm just going to make a tiny, just a tiny one there, or maybe a little bit bigger. Just a little bit deeper. There we go. So that we know it's a little pocket. And then I'm just going to lightly ink just on the outside. There we go. So that's our little pocket. Now then, we've got to now make this little additional pocket here and at the bottom there. So what we've got is we've got this little pocket here, we've got the tag, we've got the envelope and that. So we'll sort those out first. So I'll just move those to one side and that'll give that tag a chance to dry off a little bit. And we're going to do the same as we did before. Just score these side edges. Sorry about my Toto. This is when she's at her most vocal. She has a spell in the morning and a spell over lunchtime. She sort of does her preening and what have you. And then she'll have another noisy session. So here we go. We'll score these down. Fold these down, should I say. So I like that as the top. So we're just going to pop a bit of glue along this edge here and along this edge here. There we go. And along the bottom. Lovely little policy envelope there. And then I made a little tiny card to go inside, and we'll just round the corners off on there. I put my thumb over just to try and stop the little bits flying all over the place. A little bit of ink just to define the edges at the back. There we go, and that's our little card done, and we'll get that ready to just making sure that it's not sticky on the inside there. There we go. So I'll pop that to one side to finish off. See what we can decorate that with. Now then, this is our middle section, and this is our pocket to go on here. And as you can see, it's a little bit too wide, and that's my measuring. So I'm going to take a little bit off the edge here, and then what I had to do, because it was too wide, I had to cut this edge here and take off this pocket, but it's not a problem because we can use our hinges to put it back on. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to use my guillotine to take a little slice off. So, you know, have a play with your kits, and you know, manipulate them and do different things with them, and you know, it makes your kits go a long way. So what we'll do is take a little slice off there, and I'm going to try not to take too much off the windowsill, so get that level, and then we need to miter the corner again there, and then I'm going to take this little piece off here. Pop that over there. Now then, what I'm going to do is make a little flap, and I want my flap to come down to the same level as here, so it's in line with the top of the white on that window. So we'll, am I nearly there? No. Yeah, I think we're about right. So we've cut that in half, and this makes our little secret pocket. And then I just need to remeasure to see how much I need to take off the side here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to attach my little corner, my little hinge onto here. Because the folds and things make your paper move. So to get a more accurate measurement, we'll do that. Going up towards the crease there, same as we did before. And then I'm going to take that little excess off there. And this makes our bottom pocket. And then with my pencil, I'm just going to mark that edge there. And then with my ruler, make myself a new edge to my pocket. So we need to miter the bottom again and take that over there, take that excess piece off now. What was my old hinge or edge is no more, and then we'll miter the two tops. Fold that in and fold that up, and there we have our pocket to go on here. So that can be glued down. So same again, we'll use our fabric tack. There we go. And we'll pop that in there. So there's our bottom pocket in place. So I'm not going to put a divot in this one. So now we've got to make the top pocket, or should I say the top flap. So we've got to do the same thing again by making a little hinge for there, and we've got to fold this part in here. So same again, I'm going to use my ruler and fold that over, because this is going to be our hinge. You'll see in a moment what I mean. And we need to put a little hinge on this side. So I'm going to go to my scrap box again, get one of my little scrappy bits, and these are just edges of the paper that I have cut off something and I've saved for this purpose, and it's great for doing little hinges with. So there we go, and we'll pop some glue down the edge of here. There we go. And then snip the top off. There. Save that bit because we might need another hinge in a minute. And then this is going to go along there. But before we do that, I'm going to glue this piece onto here, because this is going to be our flap. There we are. So what we'll do is, me just make sure I'm putting that on the right way. Hold on 1 second. Yep. So this bit is the back of our other pocket. So we'll attach that there, fold it over and make sure it's nicely in line. There we go. And it's moved a little bit. There we go. Now then, it's moved again. I think it's the fold that's actually out slightly. There we are. So we're going to pop some glue on this little hinge here. Oh, where are you going, hinge? And that's gluing down when it shouldn't glue down. From glue seepage. There we are. There we are. So we'll pop some glue along there. I'll try not to put too much, because when it seeps, that's when you end up with having a load of problems with things being glued where they shouldn't be glued. So slide that along. And that's the handy thing about using your diagram, is you can actually line it up there, look. So trying to keep it as level as I can. Now you could actually leave that if you wanted, instead of having a pocket, you could have a secret writing spot, you know, and have it flip out, but I need to cut some excess off there. So let's have a look. I'm just going to mark where I need to cut with the guillotine. So there and there. And pop that inside here. Because I think we will do the same and make it a little pocket, seeing as I've made the tags and things to go in it. And then what we need to do there is just glue this section down over there. So we'll pop that down like that. And there we have our, we will have our pocket, but I haven't put glue on the bottom. So we'll put a thin bead of glue, or should I say a thin line of glue along the bottom. There we go. And there we have our little secret pocket. I could have done with coming in a tad more. Let's have a look. Yeah, it does need to come in a tad. So I'm going to have to take a slither, just a tiny slither off the end. And I might need to put some glue in, yeah, just along that edge there. So we'll do that again. There we go. Perfect. So now we're going to take out a notch in our pocket, and I did that sort of around the bow area. give it a bit of an ink on either side. And there you have your little centre pocket flap. There we are. And then we need to put our pocket on the back, which was this pocket here. And same again, this was a little bit big, so I took off little bits from either side and we folded. Let me use my ruler again just to make sure it's straight. I'm going to take that and alter that, and we're going to do the same this side. Just fold that in, and then it'll alter the bottom slightly as well. And we'll go that way, take a little bit off there. That side's not too bad. And then we'll fold it in along the new areas, and same there. And then we'll fold in the bottom as well. By having these little tabs on your pockets, it does help your pockets to be a bit deeper than just gluing the paper flat to the page. So let's have a look now. Yeah, perfect. So we can put a little notch in there too, and we're roughly in the middle there, say, and we'll glue it down to the page here. So same again. I'll keep checking my phone to make sure we're still running after yesterday's episode. I don't know what caused it. It did feel rather warm though when I was, touching it to switch it back on. So maybe it was affecting the power. So there we have that lovely pocket ready for our little pocket here. So that fits nice and snugly on the back there. And you can decorate here as well if you wish. And then we've got this front part here. The hidden pocket there. And we've got to put something in our little pocket there. So we've got, what did we do with it? We've got this that I decorated up. Sorry, that way. So you can decorate yours how you wish. I've got some little pieces here from my stash. And what I did on this bottom piece as well, I put a little bauble, a little globe on there, with it being a mantelpiece. And I used a piece of this just to tuck down the side, and I think I might do that again. So we'll do that. So that's going to go there, and then this is going to go next to it. Lovely pieces of ephemera from the kit. And we're just going to tuck that behind like so. And it doesn't interfere with the bottom half of the card. And then I think if we, I'm just trying to think if I can put a piece of this down onto there, which I will do that because it adds texture and a bit of added interest. So we're going to pop that on there, and then I've got a little tiny wreath here that I might put in the top part, which I think looks quite sweet. And these are all items from my stash, you know, of cutting out for Christmas projects and journals. And I used my Cricut to do it, which I've had fairly recently, and I think it's great for fussy cutting. It makes your job so much easier. So that goes there, and then I was going to put something on the bottom half, a sentiment or something. So we'll have a look what we've got for that. So I've cut that out of the kit. Christmas is the time of giving, isn't it? So it says the gift of giving. There we go, and we'll pop that in the middle there. And I don't know, will that bauble look all okay? No, that's a bit overkill. Bit overkill. There we go, and then we'll pop that in our little pocket. If I can open it and try not to catch the thing on the front. And there we go. Just going to pull that down a little bit because I don't want it popping out the top of the pocket. There we go. There we are. There we go. So that's in our little pocket there. And then here I'd got some presents, little packages in my stash that I thought I would include here, and it will make a little tuck spot on the side there. So I'm going to glue those together. So I'm going to pop that one down there, and I just need to take off the white a little bit. There we go. So them two are glued together. I'll pop that there. I've got another one actually, a red one, which could give us a deeper pocket. But no, I quite like the creams and the greens. Just ties in with the colours on that page. So we'll just glue the three edges, or two edges even. Sometimes I don't know how my brain computes. You know, I can see I'm gluing two edges and it comes out as three. Oh dear. So that's them two. So we've got a little pocket there with our thing in, our envelope, and then in this pocket here we've got our, this part here, that could be our notebook. No, it's up to you, see. You could leave it, but I didn't like the way that it was showing either side of this. So I think I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to cut that piece off, re-round the corners, re-round these corners, re-ink the edge, front and back, and then we're going to decorate the front of here. And what I did with that was I got one of these big baubles. I took some more of this tulle with the snowy bits on, pop some of that on the front and sort of scrunged it up a little bit just to make it a little bit softer. Yep. And then we had the word Santa. So we'll scrunch that all together down there. We'll put our Santa down. And then that bauble's a bit too big, so maybe we should get another bauble there, or this side, or that side. Yeah, that side. A big splodge of glue on the back of there. There we go. And then we'll pop that in our booklet. So you've got an extra little writing spot there in your wish list. And we'll pop that in our pocket down there. And then that's nicely tucked away in the back there. And it just looks neater not having that poking out the back there, I think. So now I'm going to just hide that little faint dot there for where the hole should go. And we're going to pop a hole in there and put a an eyelet inside there. I'm just going to tuck that back in my pocket there. Tidy up a bit here, see what bits and bobs we've got left. And we'll put our ribbon in there. So just bear with 1 second. Now with this one, what I've decided to do, instead of going with the blue, I'm going with this because I thought it matched the berries. So we'll get our punch, our crocodile, and then I'm going to go roughly in the middle there, making sure I'm not interfering with anything on the other side, and I'm not. Are we okay there? Yep, that will go in there. Lovely. So pop that to one side, and then we'll get our organza ribbon, and I'll stick with the white for this one. And what I did them in. So I'm not going to see if we can do it this way. I'm never very good with ribbons. Sometimes they look lovely and then other times they look abysmal. So I'll just cut that across there. There we go. Pop our ribbon through, and it never seems to slide easily through. There we go, and I'll just trim them both so that the same size-ish. And so there we have our ribbon. And then it'd be nice to have a little sentiment on the front. So let's have a look what we've got. Just pop my ribbon back. I'm just wondering if, no, we'll leave that. So let's have a look. What have we got in the way of a Christmas sentiment? What about the festive or baubles? We'll have a look. Pick out the browns. I love the colour of this kit. And I'm surprised really, because I'm very much a traditionalist with the reds and the greens and the traditional Christmas images. But I think that looks nice, doesn't it? In fact, I like it better than the one I did yesterday. I think that looks a bit lost now. So I might even go over that with one of the other. I might cut one of the sentiments off there and alter it. But we'll put that to one side and just concentrate on this one for now. Now, does it need some of this tulle underneath it? Let's have a look. Just to make it have a bit of continuity, and we'll just not shape it. And I'm going to do the same. Scrunch it all up and make it a bit raggedy. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks nice. So we'll put plenty of glue down there to make sure the tulle sticks down. Scrunch it up a bit. Use my tweezers. There we go. And then plenty of glue on the back of there. And then there we go. So let's have a look, everybody. Just clear the decks a little bit. Get rid of the bits and pieces, and we'll have a look at our tag. So what I wanted to do as well, make those a bit more dimensional, and then what I did on the previous piece, I got my Wink of Stella, and there's not much left in here, I don't think. Oops, yes there is, and we won't waste that, so we'll use that to dip in. And I've given my berries and my leaves a bit of sparkle, and also the top of the lid here as well, and also in the glass and the flame of the candle. There we go. Just to highlight the glass a little bit so it sparkles, and then also on the leaves behind here, and a bit on the branches, you know, just to make it look a bit pretty. There we go. And I think we'll give a little bit on the inside rather than waste all what's on my table. And this globe here as well. There we go. And the little trees, give them little lights in the tree and the snow round. And these lovely gold ribbons. Whoops. On these parcels. Just makes it look a bit more festive. And the berries there too. Not forgetting at the top here. And these bits here too. And also, we mustn't forget the little parcels down here. The snowy area on the bottom. And little bits in the shop window as well. You know, just to give it a feeling that it's glass. And you've got the snow on the window ledges. Little baubles on the Christmas tree. Just dotting, you know, little bits here and there that catch the light. And I like Wink of Stella because it's not too in your face. But it just adds a very faint. And then here we'll do the bow and the baubles, and then I'm just going to dot round. There we are. And same again, that's actually dried now. We've used most of it. Do the roof of the house, the little windows, on the windows in the door. These little berries down here again. You can go over and give them second coats. Do our little bauble there. And maybe we could do the Santa as well. The script. There we go. And then on the back, same on the back. I'm going to go down the ribbon. Hold on a sec, what have we got here? There we are. Do our little, his gold on his hat. Give that a sparkle on the front. And then our wreath here. The cherry, the berries. Down the garland. There we go. The ribbons on the top of the presents there. This little lantern down the bottom and the snow on the step a little bit under his feet. And then we'll do the piece on there. And finally, our bell. Do the little berries on there too. Super. So just a very, you know, it's just a very soft sparkle. And I've missed some on the window because our tag was in there, wasn't it? So we'll do these lanterns. I need a bit more bringing down, but I just have to watch it doesn't. There we go. Lovely. Those lanterns there. The snowy bits coming along here. Some bits on the tree going up there. You can never have too much sparkle, can you? At Christmas anyway. There we go. A little bit on there. A little bit on there. And the bauble. And there we are. Let snow. Do that as well. So let's have a recap. We've got our lovely tag on the front, and I don't know if you can see this shimmer that you get there. I'll move it different directions to try and highlight it, but I'm not sure how successful that is. Then you've got this lovely lady, and what I did, I've got this little background piece from the kit, and I've made it smaller to make like a little journaling tag. And what I thought I would do, same again, just to carry the theme through, is pop a bit of tulle down in this corner, like so, and then put on our lovely little rocking horse. And have that poking out there. And then this is just going to slot in this corner here. There we go. But I'll take that out so it'll dry, otherwise it'll stick everything together. So we've got, that's the front. We've got this lovely image on the inside with that little tuck spot there, little flippy pocket in the middle with a little envelope in there. And what I did here, I shrunk down one of the background images to make a little journaling card, and then rather than waste this bit that we cut off there, off here, off this tag there that was hanging there, I've just, where I've cut it off, I've rounded the corners and it just fits in there perfectly, and you've got another little journaling card there, so that's not being wasted. And we use sentiments from the kit, just with some tulle and some little fussy cuts from my stash. And I'm sure Suzanne won't mind, but these fussy cuts were from Rachel and Bella Crafts. All these images have been taken from Suzanne's kit. We made a little journaling card here, and that's in the wish list, is in the kit as well. And we made a little pocket there, which was taken from one of the tags, which was a shop front, it was a little shop front window front there, which we cut in half to make this little flippy flap, made that into a pocket, and then we took another card, journaling card from the kit, and shrunk it down to make a pocket to fit this tag here. And then we've made, from two of the background images from the kit, one of the pages from the kit, shrunk it down to make a tall, slim envelope for the kit, decorated it with these fussy cuts from my stash, bit of tulle on the front, one of the sentiments, and that fits snugly into this little pocket there. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my little project for Suzanne over at Non-Stop Papercrafts, to highlight what a beautiful kit that she's got, and to join in with her challenges. And please go over to her Facebook group page and participate. If you do participate and post pictures of what you've made onto a Facebook group, you will be entered into a draw. So I hope that you've enjoyed this project. If you have, please give me the thumbs up. Sorry it's been a bit fragmented, but after yesterday's fraught day, battling with my phone, yeah, I hope that you like what I've produced anyway, and I hope that you'll join me in my next video. So until then, everybody, take care and stay safe and be kind to one another. Bye for now. Bye.